Why do you speak? Why do you defend yourself to people who never cared, who never believed? The truth is cold and cruel. No one owes you understanding, and the world, it thrives on your weakness. They're waiting, no, hoping for you to break. Every word you speak, every time you explain or beg for their approval, you give them the satisfaction of knowing they're in control. But what if you stopped? What if instead of reacting you silenced them? No words, no explanations, just results so undeniable they're left choking on their doubts. Your silence isn't surrender, it's a weapon, the most lethal one you have, because silence forces them to watch. It forces them to wait, confused, anxious, terrified of what you'll do next. Imagine their faces when you rise without warning, without a single word. But how do you wield this silence? How do you turn their doubts into your fuel, their laughter into your strength? That's where the real fight begins. The storm inside you isn't just brewing, it's about to erupt. In the next few moments, I'll show you exactly how to crush them without making a sound. Are you ready to start the war they never saw coming? They'll call you weak, they'll call you a failure, but here's the thing. They're not mocking you because they're strong. No, they do it because they're terrified. Terrified of what happens when you stop playing their game. Every insult, every backhanded compliment, every laugh behind your back, it's their pathetic attempt to break you before you even begin. But let's face the hard truth. You're letting them win. Every time you argue, every time you try to prove yourself, you waste energy on people who thrive on your pain. They sit comfortably, watching you burn yourself out, while they don't lift a finger. They're not smarter, stronger, or better. They're just louder. And you're stuck explaining your dreams to people who can't even dream for themselves. You think they'll change their minds if you work harder? If you try to win their approval? They won't. Their only goal is to see you fall. They laugh at your struggles because deep down they're too scared to face their own. They point fingers at your failures because they're too cowardly to chase anything meaningful. And the moment you realize this, the moment you stop reacting, is the moment you start winning. But let me warn you, silence isn't easy. It's not the path for the weak or the faint-hearted. When you stop explaining yourself, the noise will get louder. They'll attack you harder, desperate to pull you back into their pit of mediocrity. They'll say you've changed, that you've lost your way, but you haven't lost anything. You've found the courage to rise above their nonsense. Think of them like parasites, feeding on your reactions. When you cut off their food supply, they'll starve. Your silence will suffocate them. Every move you make in silence becomes a blow to their fragile egos. They'll see you climbing, rising, achieving, and they'll hate it. Good. Let them, because this is where the real war begins. Not with their words, but with your actions. Every step forward you take without explaining, every success you achieve without bragging, it'll drive them insane. Their whispers will turn into screams, their confidence into panic. They'll watch helplessly as you become everything they said you couldn't be. But don't mistake this for revenge. Revenge is petty. This is bigger than them. This is about reclaiming your power. You're not here to prove them wrong. You're here to prove yourself right. To show yourself that their opinions, their doubts, their noise, none of it ever mattered. So stop talking. Stop reacting. Focus on your grind and let the silence do the screaming. The storm is already inside you. You don't need their validation, their permission, or their approval. All you need is the courage to keep going while they drown in the noise of their own doubts. And when you've silenced them all, when your actions have spoken louder than any words ever could, you'll look back and wonder why you ever wasted a single breath on people so small. But how do you hold on when the storm gets too loud? How do you stay focused when the world keeps clawing at you to fall back into their noise? The answers are closer than you think, and the next step will change everything. You've been lied to your whole life. They told you success was about fitting in, playing nice, staying quiet. They told you to smile, to be agreeable, to let the world walk over you while you waited for your turn. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Your turn doesn't come. You take it. And that's where you are now, standing at the edge of a choice. Do you keep explaining yourself to people who will never understand? Or do you finally shut up and let your actions tear through their illusions? Because make no mistake, they don't deserve your words. They deserve to choke on the weight of your silence and tremble when they see what you've built without their approval. But here's the hard part no one tells you. The silence isn't comfortable. It's a battlefield. When you stop justifying, you're left alone with yourself. No applause, no pats on the back, just the deafening quiet of your own thoughts and the brutal grind of proving yourself, not to them, but to you. This is the point where most people break. They look at the mountain ahead, hear the doubts echo in their own minds, and they quit. They run back to the noise because it's easier to argue with others than to face your own fears. But not you. You're still here. And that terrifies them, because the moment you stop arguing, you take back control. When you walk away from their drama, you become untouchable. They can't fight silence. They can't counter what they can't predict. And when they see you moving in complete, focused stillness, like a shadow, like a storm, they panic. That's when the tables turn. But here's the revelation they'll never see coming. This was never about them. Their opinions, their insults, their doubts. They were nothing but noise. The real war was always inside you. The battles you fought with your own fears, your own insecurities, your own demons, that's where the silence found its power. Every time you chose to stay quiet instead of explaining, every time you moved in silence instead of seeking validation, you weren't just shutting them out, you were shutting out your own weakness. And now, as you stand on the brink of what's next, you realize something terrifying and beautiful. You don't need anyone to believe in you. Not them, not their approval, not their cheers. You've built this from the ground up, alone. And that silence, that deafening quiet they hate so much, that's your victory. That's your strength. Because when the noise stops, only the truth remains. And the truth is this: you were never weak. You were never small. You were never the person they wanted you to believe you were. You are the storm, the silence they fear, the force they can't stop. Now it's time to show them. Not with words, not with arguments, but with actions, so loud they'll echo long after you've left them behind. But how do you keep moving when the weight feels unbearable? When the silence threatens to crush you instead of them? That's where the final piece of the puzzle lies, and it changes everything. Here's the moment of truth. You've made it through the noise, the doubts, and the relentless attacks. You've silenced the critics, not with words, but with undeniable action. And now they're forced to watch in stunned silence as you rise, unstoppable and untouchable. But this victory isn't about them. It never was. It's not about people or environment either. This victory is about you. It has never been so much. The truth is, you didn't need their approval to succeed. You needed their doubt to ignite the fire inside you. Every insult, every sneer, every laugh behind your back was fuel. They thought they were breaking you, but all they did was sharpen your focus, harden your resolve, and turn you into something they can't understand, someone who thrives in the silence. But make no mistake, the silence doesn't get easier. There will be moments when the weight of solitude feels crushing. Moments when the temptation to scream, to lash out, to explain yourself will creep back in. Don't give in. Those moments are your test. They separate the weak from the relentless, the mediocre from the extraordinary. Because here's the brutal truth. Life doesn't reward the loudest voice in the room. It rewards the quiet force that refuses to quit, the one who keeps moving while everyone else is too busy talking. And that's you now. You've become the nightmare they never saw coming, not because you screamed the loudest, but because you stayed silent and let your success do the screaming for you. So what's next? Keep building, keep climbing, keep proving, not to them, but to yourself, that their words were never chains, they were stepping stones. Because the ultimate revenge isn't silence, it's excellence. And you're just getting started, but there's still one more step to this journey. One final piece that will take your silence from a weapon to a legacy. Are you ready to take it? You've made it this far, and if you're still here, you're one of the few who actually gets it. Most will quit, convinced that the world owes them something. They'll throw in the towel the moment things get tough, begging for pity and validation. But not you. You're ready to rise, and it's time to stop waiting for the world to give you permission to succeed. Here's your chance. Make a choice. Are you going to sit back and keep letting others control your narrative, or are you going to silence them all with your actions? It's not about talking. It's not about explaining. It's about doing. About taking the path so few are willing to walk. The one where you leave them all behind while they scream your name in desperation. You're not here to fit in. You're here to break them, shatter their expectations, and prove that you never needed them. Every moment you waste on their judgment, you lose. Every second you spend justifying yourself to people who don't matter is a second you'll never get back. So stop playing nice. Stop begging for approval. It's time to crush them with your silence and make them wish they never underestimated you. Now, do something. Don't just sit there nodding to this video like it's some motivational fluff. Take the silence and turn it into your most powerful weapon. If you're serious about transforming, if you're done letting them control your story, then get up and show them. Don't let this moment pass by. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.